All right, this update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. Padres, they start a 6-game road trip tonight in Milwaukee. Robert Suarez, he has been suspended for 10 games for using foreign substance, but he will appeal and be available tonight in Milwaukee. And tomorrow, the Aztecs season opener and their home opener against Ohio. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. kickoff. Our pregame coverage starts at 2 p.m. right here on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Score big on sleep and savings during Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Save up to $100 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable beds and get a $300 instant gift good towards pillows and more only at Mattress Firm.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It is John and Jim here from Fair Play in North Park. We're getting you ready for a lot going on in San Diego sports this weekend, including a Padres series against the Brewers that is going to start in about 2 hours. Of course, they'll have that game for you here at Fair Play, centrally located in North Park. It is another gorgeous day where it's something like 75 or 77 degrees out, not a cloud in the sky. We've been eating. I think I'm going to have a drink at some point as the afternoon rolls along. We're here until 6 o'clock. If you're looking for the Padres game, join us from Fair Play in North Park. So there's that series this weekend, Jim. And then the Aztecs begin their season right here on San Diego Sports 760. That'll be tomorrow at 4. Our pregame coverage with me, you, and J.R. Tolver is going to begin at 2 p.m. But we cannot bury the lead. You took a photo of me eating a salad with salmon on top.
Yes.
And I thought literally nothing of this. I kid you not.
Uh-huh.
I was eating the salad with a fork and a knife, what I would refer to as like what a civilized person would do. Like you have lettuce, you have spinach, you have salmon. How am I supposed to cut the lettuce or the spinach? I'm not just going to shove like a huge piece of lettuce in my mouth. So I wanted to cut it. So you were like appalled by the idea. It's one thing, I get it. I shouldn't use a fork and knife maybe to eat a burger, or I shouldn't use a fork and knife to eat a burrito. Understood. All right, guilty as charged there. But a fork and knife for a salad, I think is a bridge too far. I think it's completely within reason to do that. You disagree?
Okay. Obviously, you use a fork to eat a salad, duh. But the knife?
Stop, take a break. I got to shake my head in disappointment for 5 minutes.
Really? Like, why would you need a knife to cut lettuce?
Brent, because I'll show you. Like,
no,
the lettuce can be too big.
No.
Like, look at that.
How can it be?
It should be cut.
What are you talking about?
Do you have your baby teeth? You don't too big.
I mean,
it's
lettuce. You're not eating a giant like walnut or something. I don't know. Steak.
You tell me you're on a job interview, and you got this lettuce that doesn't fit in your mouth, and you're just going to eat it without cutting it?
Dude,
I'm eating lettuce right now.
I know you are.
Just to see if it was possible.
Lettuce. I've never seen anybody, honestly, use a knife to cut their salad before eating it.
This is worse
My
than
wife
the silverware
does.
burrito
This-
thing.
Yeah, this is a Kristen thing.
Now, I will say, using a fork and knife to eat like a hamburger like you have done, and by hamburger I mean a
Like vegan burger. Yeah.
is egregious in itself.
Yes.
I do think this might be worse. Using a knife to cut your lettuce, that's as weird as it gets, man.
70470 started with team. I mean, using a knife to eat a salad is egregious. 70470 started with team.
What on earth? Okay, now here's the only thing that you could get away with here for using a knife, and I still wouldn't even give it to you. You have salmon on top of your salad.
I did, yes.
It's a salmon salad. Delicious salad. I've had it before.
Yes.
Come to Fair Play. Order the salmon salad. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
If you want to argue that I need the knife to cut the salmon, I might go with it. But at the same time, no. No, I said I might.
No further
But
questions.
then as I think about it more, there is no chance you actually need a knife to cut a perfectly cooked piece of salmon. It should fall apart perfectly with just using your fork.
Let's get to sports. We are at Fair Play in North Park. Kevin Acee will join us at 4 p.m. as the Padres play at 5 o'clock in Milwaukee. Paul Garrison will get us ready for Aztecs, Ohio tomorrow. He will join us coming up at 3:30. I'll say this about this weekend. I find it important and really important for both of these teams. I'm talking about the Padres in Milwaukee, and you're going to say, John, you've already buried them like 100 times. Well, here's the thing. You can actually fully put a fork in them, no pun intended.
Oh,
or
look
a
at that.
knife in them.
Wow. Bum.
Listen, you lose this series, we are not talking about the games in September, each and every game. We might, but you get my point.
We already aren't talking about the games
I know
now.
we're not. I know we're not. So maybe it's not important. Maybe it's a bad analogy. But for San Diego State, it's a critically important game. When you consider you open with this 10-win Ohio team, you have Idaho State week 2. You should beat them. They're an FCS program. But then listen to the 4-week stretch you have. UCLA, Oregon State, Boise State, Air Force. Ohio is critically important for San Diego State. By the way, tomorrow you've got San Diego State at 4 in the afternoon. I think you have the Padres at 4 in the afternoon. I'm sure a lot of people will be watching both. But in terms of what's more important, I would say San Diego State tomorrow against Ohio is more important this weekend than the Padres against the Brewers. Would you agree with that, considering where the Padres are standing right now in the standings?
I would agree with that, one, because I think the Aztecs, while they haven't started their season, tomorrow means much more to them than games with the Padres now. We've said it, and I've talked about it. The games now with the Padres feel meaningless. They just don't have the same weight, and they don't feel the same as they did a couple weeks ago. A couple weeks ago, it was they have to win these games. They have to win these games. Dude, you're 6 out with 34 to play.
Right.
And how many tiebreakers are you behind in with teams in front of you?
I don't know the answer to that.
There's
a couple.
There's a couple.
Yep.
The only way the Padres become meaningful again is if they rip off 10 in a row. I don't see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
So until that happens, they are just playing out the schedule with things that are happening on the field and off the field that are going to be discussed and talked about, like, hey, the Bob Melvin's future. This Robert Suarez thing is interesting. How will some of the big-time players that have had bad seasons, how will they finish up? Is there going to be legit even more quit in this team down the stretch with
more quit
with these games, meaning virtually almost nothing? Can they finish above 500? Because I think, I'm not saying that's an accomplishment, but that would mean they have to play a little better baseball down the stretch, and maybe just not completely fold here. So there's some things there, but yeah, I would argue that the Aztecs tomorrow against Ohio, if you're a San Diego sports fan and you're a fan of both the Aztecs and the Padres, it means more.
Yeah, because I just can't go down the route of, you know what? Well, they're still alive, and mathematically they're not done. But we have 2 eyes, and I don't even care what the standings say. I mean, even if they were closer in the standings, like, they have given us no reason to believe. And that just further is reinforced with each passing series. And they went 5-5 on the homestand of their season. They went 5-5,
and that was
the
most important homestand of the entire year against 2 teams in front of you.
Exactly. And and then you start looking at actually what you have to do, and I'm like, I don't even see the path. I just don't. I don't even see any path for them to do it. Now, of course, there's things that are going to be talked about the final month of the season. Robert Suarez appealing this suspension. Bob Melvin, will he return? To your point, do they fold over the final month of the season or not? But with San Diego State, I'm sure some people would say, well, San Diego State, does it even matter? It's non-conference. It's not in the league. Does it even matter what they do this weekend? I would tell you it does. I think it could be a huge determining factor in the type of year San Diego State has. It's not baseball where you lose to the Rockies in game 1, you're like, season's over.
Right.
And obviously we're not going to say the season's over if they lose to Ohio on Saturday, because that's also silly. But when I look at the schedule and I look at the possibilities, I think a lot of it goes through this Ohio game. By the way, Pete Thamel, I listened to a podcast he was on today. Of course I did. College Game Day podcast.
Of course.
Why wouldn't I?
I know.
And Pete Thamel called it the game of the weekend in week 0.
Wow.
Now, there's only about 8 or 10 games, but he said it was the game of the weekend. Pete Thamel picked San Diego State, by the way. this weekend. We'll be out there again beginning at 2 p.m. And I know we've said a lot this week, but I'm not just saying it to say it. I am not. If this was Idaho State to open, I wouldn't say it's the biggest game and it's all important. I would just say you got to win.
Mhm.
It's an FCS opponent. You better win, and you better win big. That's not this. Yeah, it's not a sexy name. It's not Ohio State.
No,
It's Ohio.
right.
But they won 10 games last year. And to me, it's very important.
It is very important. I think it's very important for many reasons. Last year was a bad year for the Aztecs, all up and down. I mean, the offense before Jalen got in there looked inept. 7-6 on the season after coming off of 12 wins a year, not great. Opening up Snapdragon Stadium, and you put out, that season, not the best. So there's, I'm sure, a lot of cautious people, as they should be. Like, I'm not saying to go out there and just be like last year didn't happen, because it did. So this year it's almost like, okay, I'm going to be cautious here until I see if they have turned around and fixed some problems with this team for this season. I think it's going to take a little bit for people to jump on board, but hopefully if the Aztecs do what I hope they can do on offense and be a little more exciting and score some points and get some wins under their belt, before they get to the the meat of their schedule, right? Boise, Air Force, and then Oregon State on the road, then I think people will jump on a little bit more and be more excited. But they have to start fast. They have to start off tomorrow looking good. They can't come out tomorrow and lay an egg. I mean, it would be such a disappointment if tomorrow the offense kind of reverts back to how it looked at the start of last year. I don't see it happening because Jalen Mayden's the quarterback and Ryan Lindley. I have faith that Ryan Lindley is going to put out a competent offense. But that's also, I mean, there's so many factors in this season that are important for, the future of this team and also the team this year as well.
A couple of things. If they can win against Ohio, they're putting themselves in a position where the third game of the season against UCLA is going to be like a big deal. I mean, you're going to be 2-0. If you beat Ohio tomorrow, knock on wood, they'll be 2-0. Okay, they'll beat Idaho State in week 1, technically, their second game. And then you're hosting UCLA in a game that's nationally televised on CBS at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Okay, not a late night West Coast kick. It's the perfect start time. It's going to be 4:35 in the afternoon, a couple of weeks from now. Everything is going to work to your advantage in terms of that's a pretty important game. You get UCLA here. You beat them the last time you played them up at the Rose Bowl. You'd be 2-0 with a chance to get to 3-0. Where if you lose on Saturday to Ohio, there's no way to really get to that UCLA game with momentum. Yeah, you'd be coming off a win potentially over an FCS opponent, but you can't make up for a loss in week 0 to Ohio by beating Idaho State. So that's why if you get there 2-0, and then you have UCLA, Oregon State, Boise State, Air Force, not easy. I'm not saying they're going to go 4-0 in those 4 games, but it just, I don't know. You could just see the path to a good year by getting off to a win on Saturday. In terms of the Padres, they can win tonight. We're going to have the same questions.
Yep.
They can win on Saturday. We'll have the same questions.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be a very good road trip. It's just going to have to be a really good road trip.
Like for the Padres, they have to, I feel like the only way anybody's going to start feeling some type of confidence again with this team is if they have like a 5-1 road trip. I'm serious. You can't go 4-2, even though it'd be a good road trip. 4-2, 3-3. Like, that's just not good enough right now.
What about 2-4?
Oh, then we are just ship. It will be fully sailed. It'll be the
What did
anchor.
you say? Ship.
Ship will be fully sailed, John.
Okay.
Get it out of your gut, out of your head. I did not say the S word. I said ship will be fully sailed. Anchor up, out to sea. Season's over. We're done.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it is pretty much already over, but still, that's my point. And then for the Aztecs, it's important tomorrow too, also because you want to get people to jump on board. And if you start 2-0, that UCLA game at home,
That's gonna be. That'll be. I don't know, but I think it's a big game. I think 2-0 at home against UCLA is definitely a big game.
yeah, and UCLA will only have played one game before that.
Correct.
Right? Okay. So
And they'll have won it. I'm sure it's against a non-conference,
like
I
Phoenix
didn't look.
Arizona Online or something.
I don't know if it's them.
Close.
It could be.
Yeah, but you start the season out like I hope they start the season out. These games, you're going to start seeing more people go. You're going to start seeing excitement, and that's why starting off hot against Ohio and against Idaho State is crucial for this team.
It's actually a sneaky tough opener. They're at home against Coastal Carolina, a program that's been really good in the group of 5. But yeah, assuming they beat Coastal Carolina, they'll be a heavy favorite. They will be 1-0. San Diego State, again, with a victory over Ohio, I think they're going to be 2-0. Now, here's the other thing about the Padres. And Paul Garrison, East Village Times, will join us at 3:30. Kevin Acee, our Padres insider from Milwaukee, at 4 p.m. We'll talk about this at 3:45 as well. I think you got to ask the question about Bob Melvin. Here's the question for Padres fans, because fans have been so critical of Bob Melvin this year. And we've defended Bob Melvin by and large. By and large, we've defended him. We said that despite the way this team has performed, it should not cost him his job. The question, though, for Padres fans, I think, heading into the final month of the season and looking ahead to 2024 is, do you even want him back? Do you want Bob Melvin back as manager? Comment in the chat. If you're watching us, you can text us 70470. Start your message with team. If you're listening to us on San Diego Sports 760 or the iHeartRadio app, do you want, Padres fans, do you want Bob Melvin back as manager? Why or why not? It's hard for me to make a legitimate argument to have someone other than Bob Melvin and feel really good about it. So I would say, yeah, I'd prefer to have him back than not.
I would too. I've already made my plea for Bob Melvin to stay here. Do I think he's the best manager ever? No, I don't. But I do think that, like you said, who else out there right now is a better candidate to replace Bob Melvin? I can't think of any.
We'd have to see the candidate pool. I mean, maybe there is. I don't know.
I just can't think of anybody.
Right.
And I think it would be a mistake and a complete lack of awareness of where the problems where this team has if they get rid of Bob Melvin. That to me would be 100% scapegoat. And that's just not going to fly with people here anymore. You've had that opportunity one time, and that was with Jace Tingler. That was your one and only opportunity to use your scapegoat card. Now you can't pull that anymore, because if you do, then S will hit the fan with us and the fan base. Now, is it the entire fan base? No, because there's a pocket of fans, I feel like, that are really against Bob Melvin and think Bob Melvin sucks and doesn't remember what it was like when Jace Tingler and Andy Green were here. Right. And it doesn't remember those times when it's like, hey, this guy has no idea what he's doing out there as a manager and nobody respects him in the clubhouse. I think people forget that and they just expect Bob Melvin, to be the Joe Torre 2.0 with the Yankees 98 team behind his back.
Yeah.
That's not the case here. Bob Melvin is a good manager. Is he the best? No. But I think he's the right person for this team. And I would be extremely upset if at the end of this year they move course and they get rid of Bob.
I wouldn't move on from him. You went a little further than I would go with like the extreme level of being upset. You said that if they get rid of the manager, you would call for the general manager's head.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm not willing to go that far. I do think it would likely be a mistake. I don't think it solves anything, and I'm giving Bob Melvin the benefit of the doubt, and I'm bringing him back in 2024. But remember this. There is no 2024 for Melvin without an extension. I don't believe this 20-something-year manager in the big leagues heads into a walk year as Padres manager. So that means they're going to have to extend him out potentially, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Again, all things we know about A.J. Preller hiring for this position, I don't see how I'm supposed to trust him to do better than Bob Melvin moving forward, or why he deserves the opportunity to hire what would be like his 4.5 manager, roughly. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like 4.5 managers.
Pat Murphy, Andy Green, Jace Tingler, Bob Melvin.
Exactly.
Dave Roberts for a game.
Yeah, and another potentially in 2024. Yeah, the interim stuff doesn't impact me as much, but I mean, this would legitimately be his fourth hire.
It would, and it should have been, and there should not be another hire opportunity. There should not be a chance to hire another guy. That's why it's like you have to keep Bob. You have to figure out how to fix this thing quickly in the offseason, and that's going to be the toughest thing because I don't know where the fix is. Is the fix just with, play better? Like if that's the route they're going.
I like that.
If that's literally their thinking is, hey, our top guys, which have had all down years, they just need to be better. I don't know if that's good enough, to be honest with you. I don't think it is.
Day one of spring training, like, listen, guys.
We got to be better.
Huddle around.
I got an idea. Ready?
Xander, be a little better.
Yeah.
Manny, be better. All you guys just be better. And we're good.
This is how we're going to fix this season. Ready?
Here's the deal. We won 80 games last year. If we win 10 more, we win 90.
So basically,
Team on 3.
yeah, you got to be better.
Got to be better.
Be better.
All right, Kevin Acee will join us from Milwaukee. The Padres beginning that road trip tonight at 5:10. He'll join us at 4 p.m. Paul Garrison, East Village Times. He covers San Diego State football and basketball. He'll get us ready for tomorrow on the other side. It's San Diego State and Ohio from Snapdragon at 4 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760. Our pregame coverage will begin at 2 p.m. And Paul Garrison from the East Village Times will join us next on John and Jim.
Let the countdown begin. We're sitting 2 hours from. Let the countdown begin. We're sitting 2 hours from Aztecs football. And this is the Aztecs march to kickoff. And it's time to take our first look at the matchup. Aztecs football is presented by
Pepsi. Pepsi Zero Sugar is a proud partner of Aztec Nation. All taste, zero compromise. Aztec Shops. ShopAztecs.com is your official source for team apparel. Visit ShopAztecs.com for the latest SDSU gear. Snapdragon. Snapdragon powers extraordinary experiences every day. Toyota. Toyota proudly supports our community and SDSU football. Saquon Casino and Resort. Michelob Ultra, Kaiser Permanente, live well, be well, and thrive. Ale Smith, brought to you by Ale Smith Brewing Company, the official craft brewery of San Diego State University Athletics. Brandt Beef, Volkswagen, brought to you by your San Diego County Volkswagen dealers. Whistle Realty, who represents you, matters. Big Fog. Big Fog keeps you cool without getting you wet.
It's the Aztecs march to kickoff. Now here's John Schaefer and former Aztec great J.R. Tolver.
All right, Paul Garrison, East Village Times. He'll get us ready for tomorrow at Snapdragon, San Diego State and Ohio. He'll join us next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. We'll start with the Padres. They start a 6-game road trip tonight, starting up in Milwaukee. 5:10 first pitch there. Other news with the Padres: Robert Suarez has been suspended for 10 games for using foreign substance, but he will appeal. That means he will be available tonight in Milwaukee. And the Aztecs home opener and season opener is tomorrow afternoon versus Ohio at Snapdragon Stadium. 4 p.m. kickoff. Our pregame coverage starts at 2 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. Score big on sleep and savings during Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Save up to $700 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable beds and get a $300 instant gift towards pillows and more only at Mattress Firm.
All right, back with you here from Fair Play, getting you ready for the Aztecs tomorrow against Ohio, the Padres this weekend against the Brewers. And, oh, by the way, we do have tickets to give away, 50 cent, Jim. We'll do that coming up here today between now and 6 p.m. That's at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, August 31st. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Let's catch up with Paul Garrison, who does a great job covering San Diego State football and basketball. He's getting ready for tomorrow like we are, and he joins us right now here on John and Jim, the all-new San Diego Sports 760. Paul, always appreciate it. What are you most interested to see regarding San Diego State's offense under Ryan Lindley tomorrow against Ohio?
I think I'm most excited just to see where they're going to line up. I mean, I think like a lot of people, they've done a lot of cloak and dagger, San Diego State has, in trying to keep hidden who exactly is starting where and how they're going to be employed. And then they announced a 2-deep that was completely unhelpful. And they're keeping everything close to their vest, and just exactly who is going to be the starters on the offensive line, how often they are playing 2-back sets, how often they're having 2 tight end sets, and just seeing like the general formation and going from having guesses of what you think Ryan Lindley is going to do to actually seeing it employed.
Paul, Ohio has a lot of experience on offense, their quarterback especially. San Diego State, they have a lot of new pieces on defense, especially up front. That matchup is crucial for tomorrow's game. How worried are you about this defense, this new look defense against an Ohio team that could put up some points?
I think you have to be very worried. Everything that you just said is spot on. And a lot of times these opening week games are kind of anomalies for what takes place the rest of the season. And then after that second game and that third game, they kind of become who they are. And if you would expect a team to be able to play at its best right away, it would be a team as veteran as Ohio, a team picked to win their conference, who won 10 games a year ago. Obviously, the question marks still are going to remain about their quarterback, because it was supposed to be a 9 to 12 month recovery from a knee injury, and he's not quite to 9 months. And a lot of their offense is predicated on read options and at least keeping one defender honest on the quarterback. And you wonder how much, Rourke is going to be able to do that. So I think that's a big concern. I think San Diego State, if they're looking at something and finding things on tape that they might like, Ohio is big, but they've had trouble handling kind of more athletic defenders, and San Diego State, with all of their stunting and with all of those things, I think they're going to be doing that a lot.
Paul Garrison from the East Village Times with us right now on John and Jim. So we've talked all offseason about Jalen Maiden. He's returning. I don't know if we've spent as much time on his weaponry, right? His weapons in this offense. When you look to who he's going to be throwing the football to, we talk about the tight ends led maybe by Mark Redmond, Mekhi Shaw, receiver is back. What are your expectations in terms of who could be impactful offensively for Jalen Maiden tomorrow?
Well, you named the first one, Mark Redmond. I think that he is going to be kind of his go-to receiver. He has the ability, unlike most tight ends, to stretch the field. They've used him, and even as a decoy, and being able to get the safety to go deep with him. He just has kind of that a difference-making speed for the position, which is one of the reasons why, Alabama offered him out of high school, things like that. So I think it starts there. I think you shouldn't overlook the running backs, whether it's Cam Davis split out wide, being able to get Keenan Christian, a screen pass, being able to get him, a little swing out of the backfield. As far as their wide receivers are concerned, Philippe Wesley, I think, is somebody that has shown good moxie and the ability to catch the ball and kind of make guys miss and get a little bit more. Josh Nicholson, who was injured very early in fall camp but was listed as a starter, he just has blazing speed, like just kind of that speed that's kind of uncommon. And, you'd be interested to see what he could do, on crossing routes and things of that nature. And then, of course, you have Mekhi Shaw, who, I think slides into maybe that number one receiver role as the number 3 guy last year. And he just kind of, he just competes. He's a good athlete. He is small, but he's also physical and has a knack for getting open. So I think that the talent is there. The question that's always going to be is just experience. And all of that group, aside from Mark Redmond, they haven't been very impactful on the D1 level yet.
We've been talking about this, Paul, today, like the importance of getting off to a fast start compared to what happened last year. And, I'm sure that a lot of people, maybe, casual fans of the Aztecs are like, well, I want to wait and see about this team because of what happened last year. The offense wasn't great until Jalen got there. So a new offensive coordinator and a bunch of new weapons. I want to wait and see how they perform before I fully invest into this Aztecs team. So with that, being said, the importance of these first 2 games leading up to that big UCLA game in a couple weeks, the importance to get off to a fast start and look good too. How big is that?
I think it's huge. I do think that there is a large part of the fan base that is exactly how you described. And, I think you look back to a year ago when we were having the conversation about going and playing at the first game at Snapdragon against Arizona. And it was the same sort of conversation about which team not only starts fast in the season, but which team is going to start fast in the game. And I think it's really important for the Aztecs not to fall behind early. I think it's important for them to be able to run the football and kind of get that feel behind them of who they're going to be. But I think that the fans are absolutely where you're describing. And, with everything that's happened in conference realignment, it's a little bit unfortunate that that's where their fans are and their alumni is, because they're going to have to prove over the next, half dozen years that they can attract a fan base where it's kind of in the opposite direction in all of Southern California, all of California in terms of attendance and things like that. But this is a time that they need the alumni and the fan base to rally behind them. And to your point, if they're able to look good against a very good Ohio team with very high expectations, I think that can bring a lot of, I wouldn't call them quite bandwagon fans, because I think that they do follow the Aztecs, but I think be attracted to those wait and see guys for sure.
Yeah, Paul, I kind of made the case earlier this week, just that, if you're going to a game this year, I mean, there's sexier games than Ohio, obviously. They're playing UCLA, Boise State, Fresno State at home. But in terms of importance, like the game where the Aztecs maybe could use you the most to get off on the right foot, you could kind of argue it's this Ohio game. Pete Thamel, ESPN, on a podcast today said the best game of week 0 is San Diego State, Ohio. And again, it's not San Diego State, Ohio State, but this is the game. This is way too simplistic to say win it good year, lose it bad year. But it just feels like if you're going to support the team in a game, this might be the one to do it in, right?
Absolutely. And, you may not say win or lose, it's good year, bad year, but I mean, I think you could definitely say great year. If San Diego State can prove that they can be this good against one of the top group of 5 teams right away with all of the new pieces and all the things that they've done, then you start thinking like, okay, well, they can be competitive with all those other teams that you named. And as far as getting a home field advantage and taking some of that momentum and bringing that excitement to Snapdragon, I completely agree with you. There's no better opportunity for a fan to be able to 4 o'clock. The temperature is not going to be crazy. All the excuses that people have had not to show up, I think, are out the window, and you have an attractive opponent. And, it may not be, as you said, the sexiest team, but you're trying to make sure that you draw your most hardcore fans, and they know how good Ohio is. they're around college football enough to be excited and understand that, you're going to go see a professional quarterback playing. Potentially, you're going to go see a lot of excitement, and I think the game could be, really, really good. And it's picked to be within just a 3-point margin of victory.
To your point, forecasted temperature at 4:05 p.m. tomorrow when the game kicks off is 78 degrees. Should be a spectacular day in Mission Valley, San Diego State, and Ohio to kick off 2023. Paul, we always enjoy your coverage. We appreciate your time, and we'll do it again hopefully next week.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Paul Garrison from the East Village Times. Let's get back to the Padres on the other side. A lot of you are chiming in on the text line, 70470. You can start your message with TEAM, TEAM, or you can join us in the chat here on YouTube as well. Do you want Bob Melvin back in 2024 or not? Plus, Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, will join us from Milwaukee at 4 p.m. Stay with us on John and Jim.
Starting to feel it, aren't you?
Down the sideline, gone, 10, 5, touchdown.
Barreling toward Aztecs football.
I need to feel your energy today from start to finish.
With 60 minutes to go, we continue the countdown on the Aztecs March to Kickoff. Aztecs football is presented by
Pepsi. Pepsi Zero Sugar is a proud partner of Aztec Nation. All taste, zero compromise. Aztec Shops. ShopAztecs.com is your official source for team apparel. Visit ShopAztecs.com for the latest SDSU gear. Snapdragon. Snapdragon powers extraordinary experiences every day. Toyota. Toyota proudly supports our community and SDSU football. Saquon Casino and Resort. Michelob Ultra. Kaiser Permanente. Live well, be well, and thrive. AleSmith. Brought to you by AleSmith Brewing Company, the official craft brewery of San Diego State University Athletics. Brandt Beef. Volkswagen. Brought to you by your San Diego County Volkswagen dealers. Whistle Realty. Who represents you matters. Big Fog. Big Fog keeps you cool without getting you wet.
Now here's John Schaefer and former Aztec great J.R. Tolver.
All right, Padres fans, do you want Bob Melvin back in 2024? Plus, Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, will join us at 4 p.m. Stay with us.
Let's head back to the Aztecs march to kickoff with John Schaefer and former Aztec great J.R. Tolliver.
All right, Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. He will join us at 4 p.m. Padres and Brewers at 5:10 from Milwaukee. Brendan Woodruff opposite you, Darvish, in game one of that three-game series. We have 50-cent tickets to give away. We'll do that between now and 6 p.m. We've also been asking, Jim, I don't know if you've seen the text line.
I have seen the text
Oh,
line.
have
John.
you?
Yes, I have.
There. All right,
Yeah.
70470, start it with team. We've been asking if you want Bob Melvin back, Padres fans, as manager in 2024. We've both said yes.
Mhm.
We do. We want Bob Melvin back. The text line has varying opinions, believe it or not.
Yes. 858 number says, yes, keep Bob Melvin, but get rid of that Flaherty guy. 951 number says, bring Melvin back. Who the hell else is going to be able to deal with this team? Almost feel like he kept this thing from going more off the rails than it did. And then the 619 number said here, Ron Washington, Benji Gill, Melvin is horrible, bro. Melvin must have pictures of you guys at Hong Kong Club or something. Even Stevie Wonder can see how horrible Melvin is.
Yeah, there's sometimes, honestly, I think some of the Melvin hate, and I'm not saying this 619 is a Dodgers fan, but I think some of the Melvin hate that we get like on the text line or social comes from non-Padres fans. Not to say there isn't warranted criticism, because I do think that there is, but the idea that like, oh my gosh, he's the worst manager, every single decision he makes is
on a
awful.
burner.
Right,
Jay Singler's burner account.
Yeah, listen, he why does he get every single challenge wrong? By the way, they do.
Yeah.
Why does he misuse his bullpen? By the way, it hasn't turned out beautifully this year. I mean, here's the thing: if there was another manager this year, I don't know if the bullpen would be better. I don't know if their challenges would be better. He's not like the challenge system guy. He looks back to his left. They're like, challenge it.
I know.
They do. He gets it wrong 80% of the time.
I pleaded that they needed to, if they're going to fire anybody this year, they need to fire their replay guy.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that replay person in the booth, or wherever he's at, that calls down to the dugout to tell Melvin to challenge it or not, has been horrible.
Yeah, and then like this in the chat is interesting from Neil, who says, when does Niebla start to take responsibility of his poor performance as a pitching coach? Like, if there's one thing I can say about the Padres this year, who still have like a top 5 rotation ERA and maybe like a top, it was a top half bullpen ERA as recently as like a week ago. It still is. It still is.
I'm putting none of this. Well, look, again, we said that this season falls on everybody, so Niebla does get blamed.
So, Miles, Padres have the third-ranked staff ERA.
They also lead the league, I think, in quality starts from their rotation.
What's your Niebla criticism if he gets blamed?
That it's a team game and everybody in that
okay,
clubhouse.
So it's not real. It's not real blame. It's just hey, everyone's responsible. Hassan Kim, it's your fault.
Well,
know?
Yeah, I mean the level of blame that I would never go to be the first person to say that Ruben Niebla is to blame for this whole thing.
Right. Like Maria says, it's on Niebla that our offense stinks.
Right, exactly. It's on Hassan.
It's on Hassan Kim that they don't come back from 2 runs down.
Right, and it's also on Hassan Kim that Manny Machado, Juan Soto, Xander Bogaerts, and Fernando Tatis Jr. have all had down years.
This is a classic example with Melvin of like pointing blame somewhere where you should be pointing blame elsewhere.
He's the front man. It's hard
right.
to
You don't see AJ Preller every day.
No, it's hard to blame anybody else right now other than a guy who, is easy to fire, right? Like a manager is the guy that is, if you have problems with your team, you can't fire Manny Machado.
Right.
So we got to fire Bob Melvin. The organization 10 out of 10 times will always choose the player over a coach or a manager. It's just plain and simple as that. And unfortunately, no matter how good the manager is or how much I would want the manager to come back, it is always going to fall on his shoulders, and it's going to be the easiest to, hey, we changed something. We fired the manager. Like, you want to change? We gave you change. He's the guy that will fall on the sword. It won't be any players.
Well, I guess the question then is this: are Padres fans going to be okay with no change? Like, okay, so you bring Melvin back, you bring your core back, you bring your general manager back. Well, how do you justify a team that was under 500? So who's responsible? Or is it just, it's a bad year, but we're okay with that. It was a bad year. We're okay with it. No. We're going to do it again. But, like, how do you spin that? You're trying to move tickets. You're trying to create excitement, and you make no change off one of the most disappointing seasons in baseball history?
I mean, if there are a couple ways that they're going to go here, and I don't even know if anything will satisfy the fan base, right? One of the routes is what you just said, status quo. We just need to be better.
Yep.
Tweaks here and there. We don't expect to have every single one of our top guys to have down years next season. With that being said, we believe it will be better next year. The other course is they get rid of Bob Melvin and they promote like a Ryan Flaherty, and they say that, things needed to be changed, and this was the change that needed to be made, and we believe in the guys that we have on this roster, and we're going to go back at it next year. And I don't feel like either of those explanations or answers is going to be good enough for anybody.
Yeah, and specific to the Ryan Flaherty thing, which we've touched on over the course of the last couple of weeks, is like, well, he's on a staff of a team that isn't very good.
He was also on a staff of a team that wasn't good with Jace Tingler as well.
Right. So it's like if your future manager is on the staff, I'd like to think he's the future manager because maybe your manager retires. I wouldn't like to think that he's the manager because you weren't very good.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. And not to say that it's a full reflection on him either. I'm so fascinated by it. I'm fascinated because I don't know if there's an easy answer here if you're Peter Seidler. I don't think it's going to be easy if they miss the postseason and there's some tough decisions that are ahead. I don't think he's willing to make the toughest of decisions, which is change the leadership of his front office. But I've been wrong before, and maybe he is. But we'll have to wait on that.
And that's why these next 34 games, albeit they feel meaningless as far as like the standings go, I do think there is a little there. You could find some meaning in those games. If they completely roll over and die here, then there's going to be a change. Like there's no doubt about it in my mind. If they finish the final 34 games,
12 and 22,
right? They're gonna fire Melvin, and that's what's gonna happen.
Well, what if they and it's interesting you say that though, because you're then saying on the other side of that conversation is, well, they go 22 and 12. They finished 4 games over 500. They're 83 and 79. They missed out on the postseason by 3 games.
Yeah.
Is that alone enough to be a reason to keep someone because you won games that were meaningless in the end?
For some, it might not be, but I think if you look at it from a standpoint of they could have easily quit. And
True.
They didn't.
And they've done it before.
And they've done it before under different managers.
True.
And they did it this time. And maybe that's a little like plea from the players, like, hey, Bob needs to stay because we play good. I don't know. But if they did finish 22 and 12 and they miss out by 3 or 4 games, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do then. Because the overall thing of the season it was a complete failure. But you finished well. So it's like weird. Like you finished good And you got above 500. That's not good enough. But
Yeah.
it is good enough to keep Melvin. But it's not good enough in the grand picture because of all the money you spend and you still miss the postseason.
Yeah, I don't think it's a factor personally, but we'll see. I don't. I think if they miss it, they miss it, and if they make it, they make it. And those are the two possibilities. All right, Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. We can ask him about Robert Suarez's suspension and the appeal, about what's on the line here this weekend, and the future direction of the Padres once we hit the offseason. Kevin Acee, Padres insider, will get us ready for Padres and Brewers tonight at 5:10. We'll kick off hour 2 with Kevin. That's next on John and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. Padres start a 6-game road trip through Milwaukee and St. Louis starting tonight in Milwaukee. 5:10 first pitch there. Robert Suarez has been suspended for 10 games for using a foreign substance in the last game they played at home versus the Marlins, but he is appealing that suspension, and he will be available tonight for the Padres in Milwaukee. And tomorrow, the Aztecs home opener and season opener versus Ohio, 4 p.m. kickoff. Our pregame coverage starts right here at 2 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760. Score big on sleep and savings during Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Save up to $700 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable beds. You get a $300 instant gift, good towards pillows and more, only at Mattress Firm.
All right, Kevin Acee is our Padres insider as we kick off hour 2 from Fair Play here in North Park. Padres Brewers kicking off a 6-game road trip for the Friars tonight at 5:10, about an hour from now. And Kevin, we always appreciate it as we get ready for the weekend. So I guess let's ask it like this. I mean, do you see this as a do-or-die trip, or has the truth already sunk in when you look at the standings and the work that would be necessary, that they're kind of playing this out regardless of what they're able to do over the next 34 games?
Well, you can't say that, but I mean, yeah, you can't say that because they're still in it. I mean, it can't be both, but I absolutely get the sentiment. And I think that I think everyone does, right? Like, yeah, they had their shot, man. You know what it was for me? It was at the time when they dropped the doubleheader to the Diamondbacks. It was like, okay, this is it. But now you look, and who's the team that's in control of the wild card race right now? Now it'll probably flip because all those teams are trading each other. But the Diamondbacks started the day in the wild card spot, the final wild card spot. So you look back and you go, man, remember how the Padres were talking about those 7 games in 10 days against the Diamondbacks and how important it was? Well, yeah, it kind of was, because if you look at it now, if they go 2-5, if they'd gone 5-2, they're 2.5 games back right now. And if everything else goes the same, right? And it's a completely different feeling, but you blew it in those 7 games against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kevin. Finishing strong here, is that something that could play a role in a decision on Bob Melvin's future? I mean, finishing strong to me, they went 22-12, right? They haven't had that type of stretch all year long. That's still only 83 wins. I highly doubt that puts them in the postseason. But does that play any factor here on the decision for Bob Melvin's future?
I don't know that it does. It probably puts them 2 or 3 games. No one's really getting too hot. Probably gets them 2 or 3 games out of the wild card, unless one of these teams takes off, which you've been waiting for a long time. I don't think it matters, because this is where they're at. Now, you catch me on a certain day, you catch me talking to a certain person, and I'll give you a different answer on whether I think Bob's going to be back. So, but I don't know that that while a strong finish would give them the ability to talk about the strong finish, right? And give them strong evidence that, the team didn't quit. It's like, does it really change the fact that this was a disappointing season? I don't think it does.
So if I catch you on today, August 25th, what would you say about Bob Melvin's future?
Yeah. because you're not the one that everyone takes out of, well, maybe you are, takes out of context and says that I said something without any sort of qualifier. Yeah, look, it's difficult for me to see this thing going on, and that's not me making any sort of judgment about Bob Melvin. I mean, I'm going to always be I'm always going to be the guy who says, hey, you might want to hit better with runners in scoring position. Hey, you might want to just hit better, right? But like I said, I think there's still some competing interests within the organization, but the fact is this comes down to what AJ Preller wants to do, because it comes down to what Peter Seidler wants to do, and generally Peter goes with what AJ Preller wants. And so at this point, I don't have a definitive answer for you, but like I said, it would be difficult for me to see this continuing.
All right, so Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. Is there any scenario where Bob Melvin would return in 2024 on the final year of a deal?
Yeah.
Or do the Padres, regardless, have a decision to make? They either get rid of their manager or they extend their manager. But is there a scenario where he just returns and nothing is done and he's in the final year of a deal?
Yeah, I don't think there was any. I think that's a little bit overblown. First off, you've seen a lot of managers, not a lot, but far more than you used to, go into the final year of a contract or be on a, earn it kind of contract. And when Bob Melvin came here, now his thinking has changed a little bit. He isn't entirely sure that he wants to retire after next year. But when he came here, it was with the idea that this would be his last contract. So it's kind of a little different situation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Kevin, what's the latest with Robert Suarez? And it looks like he's going to appeal the suspension, but what happened there? The excuse of sunscreen when he was wearing long sleeves. I mean, okay, but what's going on with Robert Suarez, and what does his appeal look like?
Well, it's good. Probably sometime next week he gets suspended, and he is I don't know that there's any chance that it gets reduced. This isn't one of those, where like, oh, you were in a brawl, we gave you 3 games, all right, you can have 2. This is an on-field rules violation, and like you said, the circumstances, and I don't know of anybody. I'm not saying that people have come out and said that he was doing that on purpose, but I don't know that of anybody that's defending him or denying it too vehemently. You come in from the bullpen. It's not after you pitched. That's when, from my understanding, the umpires will give you a chance to go wash off something, right? Like if they're checking you when you're going back on the field, or it's after you've already pitched, then they'll be like, hey, because maybe some sweat did get in there with the rosin and all that. And this isn't that case. This was, as you mentioned, some sunscreen that was found on his wrist. He's wearing long sleeves. He was coming in from the bullpen. He had not pitched yet. I don't think his chances are very good. It's his decision to appeal. It certainly could help the Padres, right? Like, what if Robert Suarez is able to pitch in 2 games here in the 8th inning and help protect a 1-run lead and get it to Josh Hader in these crucial games for the Padres? Whereas if he were to start right now and that doesn't happen, they're in those situations and they have to use someone else. And then, look, they're 8 or 9 games back by Monday. So, I mean, hey, maybe he helps the timing a little bit. But I think ultimately this guy's going to miss a chunk of games.
And looking at his year, it's been a bad year. I mean, the injury didn't help, but when he returned, 8 strikeouts in 13 in the 3rd innings, that doesn't seem like a good ratio for Robert Suarez. And going to the future, at the beginning of the season, I think it was pretty clear, okay, after this contract was signed by him, this is like the closer in waiting after Josh Hader leaves. So for that being said, is there concern here over Robert Suarez and if he's going to truly be that guy next year? Because this is the contract he signed isn't a small contract.
Yeah, good for you. I mean, I'm 100% agreement with you. And yes, the answer is, I mean, I don't know, these guys will balk at the word concern, but they got some work to do in the back end of the bullpen next year. Even if he was looking good, you were going to have to find a new setup man, right? And then if you think that that's Steven Wilson, you're going to have to find a new 7th inning guy. And so, because we know it's not Luis Garcia, so they got some work to do. And yes, those concerns that you brought up, I mean, my gosh, It's that first off, he missed 2 months last year with a knee injury. Now missed the first 3.5 months this year with the elbow, as you said. I mean, everything looks good except the the strikeout numbers aren't there. He's been hit a little bit. It's not that dominant guy over the last month, and then for right up to that last batter there for most of the postseason, it was dominant Robert Suarez. That's not the guy we're seeing right now. That said, it is the beginning of his season essentially, and he's a really good pitcher, so we'll see. But concerns are valid.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. Padres Brewers tonight, 5:10, about 1 hour from now. Speaking of the state of the pitching staff moving forward, do you believe they'll try to sign or extend either Blake Snell or Josh Hader?
Sure, a try. Sure, that's what you'll hear is that there was, discussions about that. I don't think that. I think maybe I'm gonna need to recheck here on Hader just to make sure. Given the whole Robert Suarez situation, and given, hey, what are the thoughts on if Josh Hader, and I'm kind of spitballing here. I need to ask about this, but if Josh Hader gets that big contract, might he be more open then to 3 days in a row every once in a while and 4 or 5 outs every once in a while? Because at that point, then he's because no one, not another, even if the players or the organization was, gosh, Josh, could you pitch a little more? Could you help us out here? And you've seen it a little bit, right? He's done it a little bit more. Players are going to stick up for players and say, hey, he's got to take care of himself because the team isn't going to take care of him. But I'm wondering if, hey, you get that big deal, then maybe he's more willing to do that. I don't know. Again, I'm just making clear that that's just me spitballing. I haven't asked about that yet. That said, he was always going to be super, super expensive, and they really weren't going to be in the market for Josh Hader. So something will have to change for that to happen. And Blake Snell is probably as good as gone. That is basically all we've been. But you will hear from the team that, yes, we're interested and all that, but Blake Snell's probably got another home coming, and in particular, I think he already did, but I mean, he's worked himself into a pretty nice contract.
Absolutely. I think Blake Snell and, we're at fair play, Kevin.
The Padres just scored.
The
Kevin,
Padres just scored. You're late for the game.
Yeah.
Moving over to Joe Musgrove. Now, he threw today, correct? Just catch? Okay. My question for you is it wise to even attempt to bring him back this year if this team is still 6 out with 20 to play?
Probably not. So I just posted a story in which Joe talked about that. So not with those specific numbers. It's kind of nebulous at this point. What does it look like, right? Is it 6 with 20? Is it 9 with 22? I don't know. But the reality is that him coming back carries, while there, to be clear, no structural damage was seen in the MRI. He felt real good today and has felt good over the last week or so. Everything seems to be going well, but there does carry some risk to him coming back. And bottom line is he's only going to do that if the Padres are in it. So, yes, there's definitely a chance that Joe does not pitch again this season.
Right, so he's kind of aware of it. I mean, you just look at what happens with Ohtani a couple of days ago, and we know how sports work. I mean, players can get injured. It feels like pitchers, because of how fragile it can be, I mean, it's one pitch that could change everything in your career. It's just like, man, the Ohtani situation, they're 9 or 10 games out. I'm sure the player wants to play, but now look at his future pitching. And Joe Musgrove's under contract for 4 years beyond this. So it just feels like his future and their future is more important than these 34 games. And by the way, he won't be here for 34 games. What is the max? 3 starts?
Yeah,
I mean, what could it be?
Right, absolutely. It's a great point the way that you put it. This is not a guy being selfish. I think we all know that about Joe Musgrove, right? He's going to go out there and pitch. The actual unselfish thing to do is to not pitch if you're not needed, because you've got to be there for 4 more years.
Kevin, did Luis Campusano hurt his hand?
He's got a little thumb thing. He's supposed to catch tomorrow. Being careful. He was breaking in a new glove, and so he was out hitting today. So, the plan is that he would continue to play. It was just more like, hey, let's be careful. And we got this guy named Gary Sanchez. So, as a matter of fact, I'm watching Can't Be Hit right now.
Okay, that's good. I was just checking there. And finally, for me, Manny, he's been dealing with an elbow injury, DHing a few times this week, back in the field now. For you, Kevin, he's been banged up all year. It feels like the wrist thing, the elbow thing, maybe a back. But he never makes an excuse for anything that he's hurt or injured. But will that be an excuse at the end of the season with the way he's played this year?
I think that it is something that probably gets mentioned by him in spring training next year, or just some offhanded thing that he mentions. That's often how it goes. And I've talked to him about this. I know there's going to be we're going to find out later you had your spleen removed or something, because that's always how it goes. And you never talk about anything. And this has just been a terrible year. I haven't pulled any punches with him. He talked about his baseball and all, but this isn't you, man. And so this isn't what they need you to be, and it's not what you are. And so I think it's also, I say that to say that I think it's also highly plausible that he was more hurt than we knew. I do. I don't know. Maybe he's just not good in the first year of mega contracts. 2019 wasn't good. I don't know. But there have been. I've seen him. Matter of fact, this you cover him and you see him all the time, and you see the ice here and there, and you see him come limping out of the training room an hour after the game, and you just start to take for granted that, it's just Manny. I mean, he's going to be fine. And so then, when he sits down or he plays, or he's the DH 7 days out of 10, then it's like, oh, whoa, that's right. He can't just play through everything. So I think it's highly plausible that we can put something on the injuries this year.
Do you think he is playing less in the field because of the health with the elbow, or because of the situation that the Padres are in? As in, do we expect to see him less in the field down the stretch if there's less to play for down the stretch?
Well, he has said, and the team has said that that situation there with yesterday's off day, and then what was it? I think it was 7 and 10 or whatever that he played DH, was so that here for this final push for as long as they're alive is the assumption that he would play in the field. So he's back in the field today, and the idea is that he would, but he did need some rest. And the reality is it hurts him more hitting than it does fielding, even though Bob Melvin has said that, and it's kind of maybe 40-60, but the fact that, getting him out of the field, it takes a little bit of the workload off. And so that was the plan, was to try to get him a little bit stronger for this push. Because what's the reality here? Either they're going to go to the playoffs, or and that means that they're going to be really hot on this trip, or they're going to run out of time. When I say the playoff push, we're not talking about 6 weeks here, right? We're talking about a couple weeks tops. Because at some point, like we were just talking about in relation to Joe, what is the math, right? What's the calculus? 6 and 20, 5 games out with 20. I don't know what it is, but there's a point where you go, well, this has never happened in the history of the major leagues, and we're not going to overcome it. We still haven't gone on more than a 3-game winning streak. It's time to sit Manny, or to, pull the plug on Joe or whatever. So.
Gotcha. Then finally, roof open or closed tonight in Milwaukee?
Oh, it's open. It's actually pretty nice.
Open.
I guess
All right.
it was super hot yesterday, and it cooled off a lot today.
All right. Roof is open. Kevin, we appreciate it. We really do. Have a good weekend, and we'll catch up next week when the Padres are back home.
Thanks, Kevin.
Right on, Sergeant.
I believe, based on what Kevin just said, no, not that. I believe, based on what Kevin just said and what's going to happen here in the final month of the season, is you're going to see decisions made by the Padres that reflect their standing in the standings.
I do too.
So I think when you get into September and Joe Musgrove isn't pitching and they're still out of it, you won't see Joe Musgrove. When they get into September and they're still out of it, you won't see Manny Machado in the field. Xander Bogaerts, maybe they work on his wrist. I think that's what you're going to see in September once it becomes abundantly clear that this team ain't it, as we've been talking about.
Right. I think that's what's going to happen as well. It's interesting, the whole Bob Melvin thing that Kevin's talking about, like at this point in time, doesn't really seem like anything's going to help his situation moving forward as far as next year is concerned, unless they rip off 15 in a row. Like, unless they rip off 15 to 20 in a row where they are definitively in the postseason picture, I don't know about his future with this team going forward. What are you looking at on your computer?
No, I don't even think he said, oh, by the way, the Niners have traded Trey Lance. I could care less. But I don't even think that matters. I think he said if they're out, they're out. If they're in, they're in. So, I don't think he said it matters how they finish. I think he said the same thing kind of we said, which is if they're out, they are out. And if they are in, they are in. Here is the trade. The Niners are sending Trey Lance to the Cowboys for a mid-round pick. So Trey Lance, the Cowboys, for a quote-unquote mid-round pick per Adam Schefter. So that's how you know. Yeah, that's how you know they don't think highly of him. They trade in the NFC.
Dude, that makes total sense, though. Jimmy Johnson loves running quarterbacks. So.
Jimmy Johnson?
You mean
or Jimmy Jones or Jerry Jones?
Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson's still
jeez.
Yeah.
He's been pulling the strings for years.
Well, it doesn't mean anything because they have their quarterback for the next 5 years under contract. It's not going to be replaced by Trey Lance.
You know what's wild is they play a preseason game here versus the Chargers in like an hour.
Who the Cowboys or the Niners?
The Niners.
Gotcha.
And I think the whole plan was for Trey to play like most of this game.
It may still be. I mean, do the Cowboys even need him? I mean, I guess it's maybe some insurance for Dak.
Anybody that anybody that thought that Trey Lance was going to still be on this team after he got demoted to third string.
Right.
I mean,
it was on the wall.
The writing was definitely on the wall with him. He was going to get traded or cut. He was not going to be on this roster this year because no way in hell is a football team going to keep a third string quarterback on the team that is the number one distraction talking point.
Number 3 overall pick. They moved multiple ones for him, and they're going to get back a 3rd, 4th, or 5th round pick.
Yeah, it was
from the Dallas Cowboys.
A complete bust of a pick. Thankfully for them, and they got so lucky here that it didn't set their franchise back a number of years, because this is the type of stuff that ruins franchises for like a decade.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that NFC Championship game, and it didn't probably feel good to Niners fans to not have a suitable quarterback available to them in that game after losing one. Like, they had nothing available to them. It probably would have been nice if they had either Trey Lance healthy or be a suitable backup.
Well, that's the thing is Trey broke his ankle, and
Fair.
Jimmy broke his foot too. So
yeah, they would have signed Phillip Rivers potentially.
I know
for the Super Bowl. All right, on the other side, we're going to get to the wrap. Still ahead, we're going to give away tickets to see 50 Cent at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater August 31st. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. We're at Fair Play in North Park until 6 p.m. Stay with us on John and Jim. All right, on the other side, you're going to hear Jim Russell's reaction when the Niners drafted Trey Lance. And will Trey Lance, speaking of, will he ever be a full-time starter in the NFL? We'll get to the wrap next. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. Padres start a 6-game road trip tonight through Milwaukee and St. Louis. 5:10 first pitch tonight. Robert Suarez been suspended for 10 games due to using foreign substance the other day versus the Marlins, but he is appealing, so he will be available tonight for the Padres. Aztecs, their home opener tomorrow afternoon against Ohio, 4 p.m. kickoff. You can listen to the pregame coverage starting at 2 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. And breaking news in the NFL, 49ers have just traded Trey Lance to the Dallas Cowboys for a 4th-round draft pick. Score big on sleep and savings during Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Save up to $700 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable beds and get a $300 instant gift. Good towards pillows and more, only at Mattress Firm.
All right, we've got tickets to give away to see 50 Cent, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, August 31st. Tickets at info at Ticketmaster.com. We'll tell you when to call. Do not call now. We'll give those tickets away between now and 6 p.m. There was a period in time, and you're going to hear it in 15 minutes. There was a period in time, for whatever reason, Jim would film his reaction to everything as if people cared. And 2 years ago, when the Niners were picking 3rd overall, he filmed himself watching them select Trey Lance. You'll hear what he had to say. And he sounded like an idiot.
Oh, my God.
Coming up at 4:45. But it was like, remember that, Brent? There was like a period, like a full year, he recorded like 7 different things of his reaction to like the Niners.
Yeah, it was all Niner reaction videos.
Yeah.
I should have started a YouTube channel.
You should have.
Niner reaction videos.
Yeah, shorts, you know?
Yeah, should I film my reaction to them trading Trey Lance?
You should film your reaction to your reaction of them drafting Trey Lance
my gosh.
2 years later.
I'm an idiot.
If you think Jim's an idiot now, wait till you hear his reaction from 2 years ago when they drafted him. We'll have that for you in 15 minutes. Right now, let's get to this.
Is tomorrow a must-win game for the Aztecs?
Look, it's the first game of the year. I don't think you can say the first game of the year is a must-win, but it would be a game that they, it would help them. It help them in the long run if they won the first game of the year. After what happened the first game last year, the home opener last year wasn't that great. The offense not good. New offensive coordinator, not new quarterback, but you're starting the year with Jalen Maiden. It's not a must-win game, but it would be a much-needed. It would be a nice win to have under their belt to start the year.
Of course, it's a must-win
I know
game.
you were going to say that.
It's not a must-win game. You're right. I mean, it's a must-win game if you want to win a national championship. But no, it's not a must-win game. It's outside the conference. But when you look at how the schedule shakes up, I sound like a broken record. To get to 3-3, 4-2, something, there in the first half of the year, you got to beat Ohio. If you're going to win 3 of your first 6 games and you're playing UCLA and Oregon State and Boise State, you have to beat Ohio. So I think it's critically important. And I've said before, if you're going to one game this year, this is the game to go to because it really is a big one for San Diego State. So not a must-win, but one you'd really like to get. Next question.
Would you guys sign up for a 4-2 road trip for the Padres?
I'd sign up for a 4-2 road trip, but at the same time, is that going to be good enough?
No.
Exactly. So they need to be better than that. They need to have a 5-1 road trip. They need to have a 6-0 road trip.
Even 7-0.
They need to go 8-0 on this six-game road trip.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, they need to go 10-0 on this 6-game road trip. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Can they just get some extra wins?
They need to defy mathematics and physics.
They do.
Yes.
Can they do that? Now, if they did that, then that would be awesome.
Dude, they can't even win 4 in a row. They can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. There's no 6-0 trip without winning 4 consecutive games, to Brent's point. And by the way, tough series. You're seeing good. Milwaukee's 70-57. Okay, Milwaukee's played good baseball, and they're very good at home. Brandon Woodruff is no pushover.
No.
Peralta in this series, veteran guy. St. Louis, I get it. They're 15 or 16 under, but you're going to St. Louis. It's not like the Padres have a history of just dominance in St. Louis. So, yeah, I would take 4-2 and realize that that's probably not good enough, but it's better than the alternative of 2-4 or worse.
Yeah.
Next question.
Will Caleb Williams repeat as Heisman winner?
I am going to say yes. I heard Yogi Roth on Today with Darren saying that he's the best quarterback he's ever seen at the college level ever.
Yeah, that's pretty strong words.
Very strong words. And his year last year was phenomenal. I think he could have a better season as this year, as crazy as that sounds.
Right.
I think he is by far and away the best prospect coming out of college after next season. He's an amazing even if he
prospect.
didn't play another snap this year, he's the number 1 overall pick next year. He just needs to be healthy. I'm going to say yes. I think he can repeat, and I think he will repeat as Heisman.
All right. Would you take this year again? 67% completion, 4,537 yards, 42 touchdowns, 5 picks.
Let me answer that for you.
Yeah. I mean, his career, 63 touchdowns to 9 picks, and add another 40-plus touchdowns this year. I mean, this is one of the great college careers in the history of the sport. It really is amazing. And by the way, in the final year of the Pac-12, I would be surprised if a Pac-12 school didn't reach the playoff. I think the Pac-12's got 4 or 5 teams that are really good, and I think one's going to break through. Next question.
Will Trey Lance ever be a full-time starter in the NFL?
By choice, like a team makes him the full-time starter?
Full-time, I would say not a franchise, but like he starts for a full year in the NFL.
For non-injury reasons.
Yeah, for non-injury reasons.
Like he gets a year as a starter.
I don't see it.
Really?
Dallas, he's the third stringer. And Dak right now, I mean, is Dak going to go anywhere for the next 3-4 years?
No, he's under a huge dollar figure contract.
And the problem with Trey Lance, well, coming out of college, I like the possibility. I think every 49er fan liked the possibility.
Did you? Did you like the pick? I forget what you thought about it.
He just can't play. The only way he was going to get better is if he played, and he never was going to play the first year. And second year, they gave him the starting role, but then he got hurt, and then Brock Purdy happened. So he needs to play to get better, and that's not going to happen. And I don't see it happening, unfortunately. I could be wrong, and I'm wrong about a lot of things. Obviously, I was completely wrong about the Trey Lance pick. So I'm going to say no. He will not be a full-time starter.
I don't know. Guys get opportunities. There's not 32 like competent quarterbacks in the NFL. What is he? Still 23? So assuming he can just hang around, he is 23.
Yeah.
You hang around for a handful of years and maybe you get a shot on like a really bad team. That's probably the best chance. It's not going to be with the Dallas Cowboys.
He's played 23 games since 2019.
Yeah, because there was a COVID year. There's a 1-game year for North Dakota State. He's been injured in the NFL. It's crazy.
23 games in 4
Well, how many
years.
of those are in the NFL?
Starting?
Just playing.
I think.
Well, I guess that first year he played in a good amount of games, maybe.
No, not
6, 7, 8.
Jimmy Garoppolo was the starter then.
Right.
I want to say he's played a total of 5 games in the NFL.
Is that right?
Because he started 2 games last year, but he got hurt in like the second quarter.
He's appeared in 8 NFL games, 4 starts.
4 starts. So
8
yeah,
NFL games,
I
4
think,
starts.
I think the thing with Trey Lance is that while he might have gone to a spot where he could have excelled, he may have also went to the worst spot because the Niners were looking to win right now. And if they weren't going to play him year 1, and then year 2 happened with him getting injured, and then Brock Purdy, he was never going to play there again. And it's unfortunate because you would like to see what he could do. I mean, he has a lot of skills, but he wasn't going to crack the starting quarterback position after they signed Darnold, and Brock Purdy had the ending of the year he had last year, especially with how Kyle Shanahan wants his quarterback to play in his offense. It's unfortunate, but the writing was on the wall, and everyone's saying they treated him dirty. I mean, come on, it's the NFL. He was the starter year 2. He was named the full-time starter. Then he got hurt. It's the NFL. If you get hurt in the NFL and a guy comes out and plays better than you, they're not going to say, oh, well, you know what? Just because you played better than Trey Lance, and Trey Lance was our starter at the beginning of the year, we feel bad for him. So we're going to make him now the starter over the guy that played better than him and led us to an NFC championship game. It doesn't work like that in the NFL. It might work like that in like Pee Wee football, but not the NFL, man. I'm sorry. It sucks, but that's not how it works.
Do you just want to talk till 6 p.m. and not take a break and don't even take a breath? Go an hour and 20 minutes.
I don't think I took an entire breath in my Trey Lance.
First of all,
there.
The indictment is that Sam Darnold beat you out. So it's not like you got beat out by Sam Darnold. So you're not.
Jim
the guy.
broke more of a sweat in that rant than traded his entire Niners career.
Seriously,
I really did.
Yeah, you're really animated on this, and it's probably because of what you said the day he was drafted, and you're going to hear that on the other side. Jim Russell sounding off, recording himself, reacting to a pick of the Niners in 2021 as if anyone cared. And we will play that back for you coming up next. Plus the 5 o'clock hour, John Heyman on the Padres' chances of landing Shohei Ohtani in free agency. We're at Fair Play North Park until 6 p.m. Stay with us on John and Jim. All right, let's relive the moment 2.5 years ago. The Niners on the clock. Who will they select? Jim Russell's reaction to Trey Lance going to San Francisco. That's next. All right, with you until 6 o'clock. Padres about to get underway in Milwaukee, the first of 6 on the road through Milwaukee and St. Louis. That's coming up in about 20 or 30 minutes. This is a great spot to kick off your weekend, centrally located in North Park on this gorgeous Friday afternoon. All right, do you remember the moment the Niners drafted Trey Lance in April of 2021?
I remember it very vividly, and shout out to Darren because I text. He must have had this saved in his draft,
waiting,
and he has been waiting for this moment. You know, he strikes in silence sometimes.
Right.
What's the word? What's the the phrasing?
I don't know.
I'm like the G in lasagna. I'm silent. I strike in silence or something along those lines.
I don't know if the G in lasagna strikes in silence, but okay.
I'm like, I don't know. Whatever. It's
Yeah.
it's. I forget what the terminology is for that is. But anyway, Darren had this saved for I'm sure a while now.
Probably
and the
2 years.
second that Trey Lance announced got traded, boom! I look at my Twitter feed, and there I am, the tweet from 3 years ago. Oh my God, they took Trey Lance instead of Mac Jones. I am the biggest idiot on the planet.
Let's take a listen.
Please don't be Mac Jones. Please don't be Mac Jones. Please don't be Mac Jones.
With the third pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Trey Lance.
Let's go! Oh my God! It's not Mac Jones! It's not Mac Jones! Let's go!
You are such an idiot.
I'm cringing
See,
so
this
hard.
can serve two purposes because now if Mac Jones amounts to something, we can play it again and be like, you idiot, you should have took Mac Jones.
Well, you can't even compare Mac Jones to Trey Lance 2 years in. One's been a
2
competent
games
NFL
in.
starter. The other hasn't played.
Dude,
I was traded for a 4th-round pick.
you know when you do stuff and you're like thinking to yourself, why the hell did I do that?
Dude, you do everything for clicks. That's why you did that.
Well, I also did it because at the time, I think
Was there
I'm trying
bet?
to cover my ass here.
Yeah.
I want to say we talked about it because I was at the time producing with Darren and
yeah.
Marty. And I want to say they were like, hey, film your reaction tonight. I hope they said
Oh,
that.
yeah, Darren. That's what happened, right? I'm texting Darren now. I'm just texting Darren.
Oh, my God. It's not Mac Jones. It's not
Jim
Mac
is
Jones.
claiming that you asked him to film his reaction to the Niners' first-round pick in 2021. Is that accurate?
I bet. Yeah, dude, please be accurate.
He's saying it is on air. He's saying it is on air. I don't believe him. Mac Jones, by the way, in 2 years
destroys Trey Lance.
Has already. He's got a 67% completion percentage in the NFL. 36 touchdowns, 24 picks is high.
He's already made the postseason once.
Yeah, I mean, there's no comparison, obviously. No comparison at all. But that's okay. I mean, that alone isn't the problem. It's just how, like, you were like, this is the greatest moment in the history of the franchise.
I do remember myself not thinking like, oh my God, Trey Lance
Right,
is
it
going
was
to be this
it's not
amazing.
Mac Jones is
it
what
was,
you said.
Yeah, my thing was like anybody but Mac Jones. And truthfully, if they went the Justin Field route,
right,
I would have been the same. I would have done the same thing. And I don't know how Justin Fields would have performed there,
right?
Because
he's played a lot, obviously, in Chicago,
but he was also put in a situation where he had to play a lot, and he was allowed to play a lot because the team was not looking to win a Super Bowl.
Correct.
So that's the problem with the Trey Lance thing is, it's going to go down as one of the worst picks in team history, and I think Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have a lot of egg on their face, but for me, it's like they got lucky that they got Purdy and that their team is this good with Purdy. Because if they didn't get Purdy, then it's even more egregious.
Okay, but fair, but hear me out real quick. And by the way, worst pick in franchise history, ESPN Stats and Info, he played the fewest games ever by a top 5 pick in the history of the NFL.
So worst pick. No one.
For the team that drafted him. In the history of the NFL, top 5 pick, 67 on, nobody's played fewer games.
You can't tell me it's worse than Jamarcus Russell.
No, but you get my point. I mean, this isn't just worse in franchise history. This is like top 5 bad.
It's something
stuff.
that you've never seen.
Because at least Jamarcus Russell played.
But he also set a franchise
poorly,
back how many years?
But he played
a lot of years. But hear me out. The other thing about this whole, well, at least they got Brock Purdy, and it's a competent franchise, and it is a competent franchise, and they've been very successful the last couple of years. But it goes back to the initial point about the Niners. The whole point of Lance was ceiling an upside.
I know.
The whole point was to get someone better than the Garoppolo mold. Maybe that is Purdy. But you're comparing Purdy, and I know you're not, but get my point. Mahomes and others, when you're trying to win the last game of a year, is he going to be that quarterback? And if that's the expectation, which I think in San Francisco it is, they're still not anywhere near that level. Obviously, nobody could compare Brock Purdy to Patrick Mahomes or the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the NFL.
And this is also a team that passed on Patrick Mahomes. They didn't even scout Patrick
as
Mahomes,
others did.
You know, and that is that's also considered malpractice. But
no doubt,
the thing with the Niners is, and a lot of people don't like Kyle Shanahan. And my retort to that is, well, who would you rather have that's better?
Okay, Darren, I have an update.
Oh boy.
Okay. Darren says it's accurate. He was very happy to comply and rejoice at future Hall of Famer Trey Lance.
I'm vindicated. Yes.
Wait, what is this? Okay, so Friday, March 26th is Ben Fletcher. Friday, March 26th, I sent Trey Lance's highlight reel to @JimRussellSD with the caption, "Pants tightening."
Where are you, Fletch? Huh? Where are you at?
Wow.
So this is like,
there's a lot to get into here.
Wow. So I'm vindicated. Number one, I did not just film this reaction on my own because I wanted clicks.
You're vindicated.
I filmed this stupid reaction because we talked about it on Darren's show, and they wanted me to film it because all we talked about was Mac Jones and Trey Lance leading up to that draft. I think
I do remember that.
It was like the biggest thing with me was, Trey Lance or Mac Jones, or at least Mac Jones or somebody else.
Wow. All right, more on that maybe in the 5 o'clock hour. Also, John Heyman, national baseball reporter, chiming in on the Padres' chances to land Shohei Ohtani in free agency. Are they better than we initially thought? Hour 3, John and Jim from Fair Play in North Park. That's next.
Oh my God! It's not Mac Jones! All right, this update's brought to you by Mattress Firm. Padres Brewers game 1 of their 3-game series underway in moments from now in Milwaukee. Robert Suarez, he has been suspended for 10 games for using foreign substance on his pitching arm against the Marlins the other day, but he is appealing that 10-game suspension, so he will be available tonight for the Padres. Moving over to Aztecs, their home opener and season opener tomorrow afternoon versus Ohio. 4 p.m. kickoff. Our pregame coverage starts at 2 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. And breaking news in the NFL, the 49ers have traded Trey Lance to the Dallas Cowboys for a 4th-round draft pick. Score big on sleep and savings during Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Save up to $700 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable beds and get a $300 instant gift good towards pillows and more only at Mattress Firm.
It's going to be a full weekend.
Wow, the weekend.
What are we going to do? We're going to party!
Let's get nuts.
Why not start it early? We're live at Fair Play in North Park with the faithful. Plus, the Aztecs open up the season against the Ohio Bobcats. Today's broadcast is sponsored by Fair Play in North Park. A little sporty and a lot of party. San Diego County Credit Union. It's not big bank banking, it's better. Bob Jensen Air Conditioning and Heating. We are here to make you more comfortable. Promises 2 kids. Creating a bright future for foster children. TakingVegas.com. Winning is great. Taking Vegas is everything. Now, live from Fair Play in North Park, it's John and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 3, John and Jim with you till 6 o'clock. Fair Play in North Park. They'll have the Padres on. That game's getting underway this hour. They've got the San Diego Wave on TV right now. It's a great spot. North Park, Friday afternoon. We're here all Padres season long when the team is on the road. We're with you here tonight until 6. By the way, this hour we'll give those tickets away. 50 cent, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, August 31st. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. So, by the way, tomorrow we're going to be doing pregame beginning at 2 p.m. outside Snapdragon Stadium. Please swing by and say hello.
Yeah.
If you're going to the game, we'll be outside the team store right by one of the main ticket offices and entrances. So swing by, say hello. I think they just put out a tweet. Parking opens at 11 a.m. And again, the game is at 4:05 p.m. and we'll be broadcasting on San Diego Sports 760 beginning at 2 p.m. Ted Leitner, Rich Ornberger on the call. Me, you, and J.R. Tolver.
Yeah. For
a couple hours getting you ready for game 1.
When are you going to show up? 11?
No, before that.
Okay.
No, I'll get there at 1 o'clock.
I'm excited. I really am. You know, it's going to be a beautiful day tomorrow. Yep. It's a good matchup. New offense. Jalen Maiden start. I mean, it's going to be a fun time. It's definitely going to be fun.
Yeah, we are on the air. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Nice to meet you. Cute. Appreciate it. We'll talk at the break.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to it as well. We've been talking about it all day. It's a huge game. Pre-game coverage will begin at 2 p.m. We're going to hear from Brady Hoke, by the way, tomorrow. We'll talk to J.D. Wicker. San Diego State's athletic director will join us at 3 p.m. tomorrow. So last night you sent me something from John Heyman that listed the Padres with the second shortest odds of landing Shohei Ohtani as a free agent. Now, that conversation differs after the tear of the elbow that Ohtani experienced earlier in the week.
Yeah.
But John Heyman, for whatever reason, it's AJ Preller's the reason. Peter Seidler's the reason. He's got the Padres as 7-1, second shortest odds to the Dodgers, right?
The Dodgers.
To land Shohei Ohtani this offseason.
Dennis today on with Darren. I didn't hear it, but the gist of what was told to me is that, the Padres are still going to be in on Shohei. We've known that. It's been written about. We know that Shohei is kind of the Preller white whale in a sense, like how he views Shohei Ohtani is a guy that he has always wanted. I mean, they were a finalist to sign him back 2018. And, at the time there was no DH. So think about how the sway from AJ Preller and having a Deo Nomo there was to a guy like Shohei Ohtani. I think with the injury now to Shohei, there's a better shot to sign him because he's not going to cost $700 million. It sucks I think, for the baseball world, because I think I wanted to see what the market was going to be like for Shohei. Was it going to be the $700 million contract that was, I guess, projected for Shohei, like his value? We talked about that with ESPN's projected value for Shohei. So I wanted to see that. Now I don't have any clue about how teams are going to view him. But what it does sound like is this doesn't affect the Padres at all. Like, the Padres are still potentially going to go after Shohei extremely hard and aggressively because of how badly they would want Shohei Ohtani on this team.
You know what's funny? This injury, to me, gives me more of a reason not to entertain it. Because the risk has just shot up exponentially. It was always risky with, like, the only two-way player in modern baseball history. Do you know his career earnings in 6 years? Because this is way different. In 2018, when they wanted this guy, they were going to pay him whatever the posting fee was and $20 million, whatever he could. That was like the max. Yeah. Even with his arbitration year, this year he's making $30 million. He's made $42 million in 6 years. He's going to make $42 million per season, which is fine. He's earned it. He's had great offensive numbers just on that. That's fair. But he's entering his age 30 season. They've got all these players under contract in their 30s, not their 20s. Yeah. You don't know if he's going to pitch again, or if he does, if he looks like the same pitcher. It's like the question marks have just gotten so much bigger on Shohei Ohtani, and the Padres have so many question marks everywhere you look. Don't get me wrong. If you could snap your finger, you'd love to have him, but you're just adding more risk into players in their 30s. And I don't know if this is the franchise that should be taking on that type of risk.
You're absolutely right. Is the Padres' track record here lately isn't great. And also, when you look at the financials of this team, again, it doesn't make sense. They have so many holes to fill on this roster that one player who would just be a DH for potentially 2 years, it's not – look, would I want Shohei Ohtani on this team? Of course I'd want Shohei Ohtani on this team. He's the most recognizable player. I said this yesterday. He is the guy right now that's breaking through. Breaking through the like wall of national
absolutely
sports talk.
Yeah.
You're not seeing that with, like, even as great as Mookie Betts is, you're not seeing that with Mookie Betts.
Not at all.
And Mookie Betts could be the MVP of the National League this year. You're only seeing it with Shohei. But it's because he's also a pitcher. If he's just a DH, does he break through like that? I don't think so.
And by the way, don't you think that if he, let's say he doesn't pitch for a year like 2024.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have to play in the field? Like, doesn't he have to? You're
Where,
going to pay there's no, you think Shohei Ohtani wants to spend his next, like, 10 years DHing only? He doesn't. I don't know. I mean, he's going to have to play somewhere.
Where, though? Where is he going to play?
I don't know. First?
Okay, great.
He's going to have – there's no way. Am I wrong that a team's going to sign him to a 10-year, even without the pitching aspect, $400, $500 million deal to a DH? I mean, doesn't defense have any value? Has that ever happened in baseball history?
Here's how potentially you could justify it for him just being a DH. You sign Shohei, and this has nothing, unfortunately, has nothing to do with on field. It has everything to do with off field. You have Ohtani on your team. You have now become a global brand, and the amount of money and revenue that you could bring in because of Shohei Ohtani is something that I would think is very appealing to a team.
Oh, great. Look how it's worked out for the Angels.
I'm just saying, John. Like,
I mean, where their owner has said we're going to sell the team.
Yeah.
And where they've never even been close to a playoff spot with them. When's the closest they were? 10 games?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you do it for a marketing play, especially for the Padres. They market well. They draw. I mean, if nothing else, they do create revenue. I don't know if they create enough for their payroll.
I agree.
You know, they put butts in seats, so to speak. I mean, the guy's a 10-WAR player.
But he's a 10-WAR player because he's a
pitches.
pitcher.
Exactly.
What is he if he's not a pitcher? He's still a, 6-7 WAR player?
Yeah, definitely.
But you would need to have these offensive seasons duplicated for the next 4 or 5 years if he's not going to be that dominant pitcher like he is the last two.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I mean, it would be really interesting to see Shohei Ohtani as a DH, to your point, let's say for at least a couple of years, and work his way back. And let's say just an average pitcher that second year. So you got a 2-year DH, an average pitcher that second year, and then we'll see what happens years 3, 4, 5, and beyond. What is the value of that? I mean, honestly, what is the value of that? Can you convince me that that's a $400 or $500 million player? Someone is going to pay that money.
Someone will.
I don't know if it's going to be the Padres. Again, everyone would be over the moon about it. It could be the difference in being really good or not being really good. I just think there's so many question marks, especially after this injury with him. But
would you be surprised if they signed Shohei?
Yeah, I'd be very surprised. I wouldn't be shocked because it's AJ Preller and Peter Seidler. I'd be very surprised because of what Shohei Ohtani said out of his mouth. I want to go somewhere where I can win.
Yeah, and is here in San Diego the best place to win with all the things that have gone wrong for this franchise this year, with the future of this franchise, frankly, up in the air as far as Bob Melvin's future goes.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Again, I would like Shohei on this team, but for the money that he is demanding and going to get, does it make sense to sign a guy to that much money who is just a DH?
Well, especially you got, let's use Ha-Seong Kim. Okay, you got him out there entering the final year of a deal where Dan Szymborski comes on with us and says he's going to get $25 million plus per year.
Yeah.
Because he's as good of a player as Dansby Swanson and other middle infielders in recent free agent classes that have commanded that salary. So, are you going to be able to keep Kim? Are you going to make Kim expendable for Ohtani? Reasonable thought. Certainly, if Ohtani was fully healthy, beyond a reasonable thought.
Because Dan Szymborski thinks Kim's going to get $150 million.
You're creating just more questions.
Yeah.
If you put that money to Ohtani. Again, there's a lot of questions on the Padres. To your point, Ohtani is one player. This team has proven they're not one player away.
They're not. They're not even close. And the holes that they have next year on this team, Ohtani's not fixing it. Now, would he fix the DH spot? Absolutely. He would fix the DH spot because that's been a huge problem for this team all year long. But is that going to fix the team?
I can guarantee you this, Jim. Tell me I'm wrong here. I will guarantee this. And I hate to say it, but it's true, and everyone listening to me or watching agrees. If Shohei Ohtani comes here in 2024, he will not replicate his 2023 numbers. There's just no way. There is no way he's replicating his 2023 numbers at Petco. Nobody does it. Nobody does it. He'd switch leagues. He'd have the UCL situation. There's no possible way he comes here and hits 50 home runs. And play that back if he does it.
No. Sorry. Unfortunately, I think coming here would be like the worst thing for him. It's
just tough. I mean, it's been a very tough place to hit.
And I don't view Shohei as this guy that has this like big ego.
Right.
But again, you're dealing with the situation that you're coming into a clubhouse with established guys this is their team. And I know you have Mike Trout in LA, but Mike Trout is not like Manny or Soto or Tatis or Xander.
Yeah.
And you'd also be coming here with a guy who you highly, highly, highly respect. I'm talking about Shohei in Yu Darvish.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole dynamics with Japanese-born players and the respect for the game they have and the not wanting to step on the toes of other stars. Like, it just would be such a weird dynamic if Shohei came here, dude. And if they sign him to that big contract. But I will say, don't doubt Preller as far as going after him.
Yeah, no, they'll put together a nice PowerPoint.
Yeah, they will.
I'm sure it'll be a very nice presentation. I'm sure he'll speak in Japanese to Ohtani, which I think he was rumored to have done in 2018.
Oh, yeah, he did.
I'm thinking of when Yu Darvish, the Padres met with who? Cubs outfielder
Seiya Suzuki.
Wasn't Darvish like, man, you're going to love Chicago. Wait till you get there next.
He's Chicago or San Diego. He's like, dude, I would pick Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago is a really good time. You're going to absolutely love Chicago. So, it's a fair point, too, that dynamic that's at play. Listen, they'll make the presentation. They'll absolutely meet with them. I'm sure we'll hear a million things about the Padres and Ohtani.
So many rumors.
But it's one of those things like until it's officially official, I'm going to be like, there's reasons to believe that Dodgers make sense.
Yeah.
Team in the American, proven winners with unlimited spending power, which the Padres have currently. Will that continue into the future? And again, if Peter Seidler proves us wrong again, you thought Machado's signing was a big deal. I mean, if you land Shohei Ohtani, international superstar, even off this elbow tear, that's, an unbelievable signing. And you can only imagine what that could possibly mean for whoever gets him.
Well, I mean, Preller is looking for another off-season championship.
True. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Where are the winter meetings this year? If they're not in San Diego, I don't know if we'll try to pull that off.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't.
And I don't think they are.
Raise the off-season banner.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's fun to talk about. And honestly, it might be what we're talking about in September if this team doesn't start winning with great regularity.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're talking about now, and they're not winning with great regularity at all either. So
good point. Yeah.
It's what do you make of Manny going full new look today?
What is the new look?
High socks. He's got the blue gloves. He's got like the blue elbow pad. He's going.
You know what I make of it?
He's going full blue on the Padres right now.
You know what I make of it? After the game Wednesday, he told reporters that every game is do or die. Now, remember, Hassan Kim said the same thing a couple of days ago. The next day they lost.
Wait, is that like
he rocking a little 5 o'clock shadow too?
Yeah, a little bit of he's got like more facial hair.
It's. I think it might be for like a Kobe thing because it looks like it's purple.
Oh,
and
is it
gold.
really?
Because he loves Kobe.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, when he went to the Dodgers, he picked number 8 because of Kobe.
Wow. I did not realize that.
And he's normally a Jordan guy, and he's not wearing his Jordan's cleats.
Well, no, it's Jordan still on his elbow pad and everything. But
so, can you confirm this, or is this speculation?
I'm just looking at Manny with the high socks and wearing a purple, guards and gloves. It's maybe he's trying to get in that Mamba mentality for the final 34 games of the season, 6 games out.
Yeah, I wish they would have had that mentality.
Why couldn't that have been the mentality?
5 months.
Exactly, from game 1, not with 34 remaining and 6 out.
Right, exactly.
But hey, to each their own, I guess.
So Milwaukee, by the way, I mentioned the fact that they're 70 and 57. I wanted to pull something up real quick.
It's a good record.
And they've been really good at home. Yeah, they've been great. 35 and 27 at home. So this is it's a real test to win the series. We keep saying, well, they have to win every series. They won their last 2 series, and we're still like, they went 5-5 in the homestand. They've fallen to 6 games back. Fangraphs gives them now a 9% chance of making the postseason. Imagine what happens when they lose a series. So, this is another must-win series. We know they've lost a handful of others we've called a must-win series. And this is not an easy place to win series against a team that's 35 and 27, that's 70 and 57 overall. So we'll see if they're capable of
doing a little scoreboard watching right now, John, because that's what we have to do.
Yes, even though we've said it's over.
Marlins are trailing the Nationals, who are making a real big push here. 3-0 as they head to the top of the 7th inning.
Oh, it's on.
Pirates are leading the Cubs 2-0 in the bottom of the 5th inning.
This is the night.
That game is in Pittsburgh. All right.
Okay, what else?
Reds D-backs play at 6:40, so that's a good
Someone's
thing.
going to win.
Someone's going to win in that game, and someone's going to lose that game. And that's it.
Are those all the teams?
No, sorry. The final team is the Giants, who play the Braves tonight in San Francisco at 7:15.
Okay, so, with the right results, you could be 5 games back, potentially tonight.
Okay.
It's true. You're the one that just pulled up the scoreboard.
I know. I just because it's
to laugh at it.
Just to laugh at it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not like fully serious about it until they either prove us wrong or only prove us wrong. That's the only option that they have right now.
Well, here's the quote from Joe Musgrove to Kevin Acee.
Yes.
Because Kevin said he spoke with Joe, and Joe is getting ready as if this team's going to make a run. He says, there's no need for me to be rushing and pushing things back if we're out of this thing, but I have full confidence that we're going to be in it. So these first 2 weeks are going to be important in just laying down the foundation work and being able to open up from there. It's difficult knowing that there's a chance I might not touch a mound again this year, but every part of me mentally and physically is preparing to be able to get at least one more start in the regular season and then be strong for the playoffs. Joe Musgrove.
Yeah, does scare me a little bit, because Joe's that type of guy who has blinders on as far as like working out and getting ready for, a season, and when he's injured to come back,
But he said if they're out of it, he won't. There's no need for me to be rushing and pushing if we're out of this thing.
Well, then what's the point of no return?
You have to be prepared for what if they're not.
So don't you, once you're preparing, aren't you ramping things up to get to a point to when you could possibly return? You're not just all of a sudden going to go,
I'm going to return.
You're not going to just,
Yeah, but these next 2 weeks he's just throwing. So
Okay.
on the side.
So then is he giving it 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. When this team goes like 12-0,
Oh, okay.
then he's like, I'm all in. I'm glad I put this work in over the last 2 weeks. You make a good point. Like, it doesn't really matter what they do. Is it worth bringing Joe Musgrove back? And that's the conversation we had yesterday.
Right.
And we answered it like, no.
It's not really
It's way too risky.
Right, exactly. It feels like the risk is not worth a reward of seeing Joe for two or three starts.
He even said one.
One
He even said one.
Then why are we going down this path of
for the playoffs, he said.
Oh, okay. They're going to go 20-0 their next 20 games.
To get at least one more start in the regular season and then be strong for the playoffs.
You really said that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Do you have ears?
Hey, I love the optimism, but come on, deep down, I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like it's being like that's not serious. You can't because when he says that, how do people react?
You kind of roll your eyes.
You roll your eyes.
Yeah. But it's very much a captain thing to say.
It is.
He always says the right things publicly. There was one thing that I took exception to when he was like, hey, we might move Hader and Snell, and we're still a good team. That was a little interesting when he said that post-game a few weeks ago. But then he, backtracked on it and said, don't trade Hader and Snell because you'll kick yourselves if you're a game out and we've moved those guys.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, good talk.
You know what you do a lot?
What?
You hit the table a lot.
Dude, I hate you. On the other, you know what you do a lot? Sneeze. A million other things that are super annoying.
Oh, I just made John
day in
so
and day
mad.
out. Super annoying. You should try working with you every single day. You're lucky you have me. On the other side, we're going to get you ready for San Diego State and Ohio tomorrow. Snapdragon Stadium. Jim's back page is still ahead. And guess what we're doing next? We're giving away the 50-cent tickets.
50.
We'll do it on the other side. That's at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater August 31st. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com.
Who am I?
Trey Lance. I love him. Niners, Warriors. We're talking about it next. Stay with us. All right, on the other side, we have tickets to give away to see 50 Cent. North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, August 31st. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. We'll get you ready for tomorrow at Snapdragon Stadium, plus Jim's back page all ahead.
All right, this update's brought to you by Mattress Firm. Padres Brewers underway in Milwaukee, game one of a three-game series. We are scoreless at the top of the second inning there. Moving over to the Aztecs as their home opener is tomorrow afternoon at Snapdragon Stadium, 4 p.m. kickoff versus Ohio. Our pregame coverage starts at 2 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. And breaking news in the NFL today, Trey Lance has been traded from the 49ers to the Dallas Cowboys for a fourth-round pick. Score big on sleep and savings during Mattress Firm's best.
Score big and sleep.
Save up to $100 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable beds. You get a $300 instant gift, good toward pillows and more only at Mattress Firm. I hate you.
Oh my gosh. All right, what we needed, Jim, was to work together more.
Yeah.
So Jim will now be doing pregame with us for San Diego State football beginning tomorrow afternoon alongside J.R. Tolver and myself with Jim Russell from 2 to 4.
Yeah.
By the way, we have a wrap-up show tonight. Padres Brewers game one. They're underway. At what was Miller Park. What is it, Brent? American Family Sleep or something?
American Family Field.
American Family
American Family Field?
American Family Field. So we'll have a wrap-up show for you.
Dude, everyone hates it back there. You think people hate having to call Staples Cryptos.com
Right.
Center?
Yeah,
They
American Family
hate
Field is
this.
just a bad name. We have 50 Cent tickets to give away. We'll do that between now and, let's say, 10 minutes from now.
Yeah.
An interesting story that just popped up is that the A's, they're moving to Vegas. Did you know that?
What?
But their ballpark is not going to be done until 2028. Here's the issue. Their lease in Oakland ends in 2024, which means they would be homeless for 2025, 2026, and 2027.
Yeah.
Now, maybe they should just like forfeit.
They
those
should.
years.
They're not winning.
But an idea that's being thrown out is that the Athletics have at least kicked the tires on sharing Oracle Park in San Francisco with the Giants. How would that work?
What?
How can you have two teams? I mean, you literally have the Giants home for 81 games and the A's home for the other 81 days.
That makes
wouldn't
no
make any
sense,
right? The schedules wouldn't match up.
The
like
A's, they're run by such an incompetent fool in John Fisher. Like, wow. That would be a disaster if that happened. I feel like no one would go to
There'd be no one there. Yeah.
Like, obviously, no one even goes to the games at wherever they play now, the Coliseum. But nobody would go to those games.
Imagine the World Series. It would just all be at Oracle. 7 consecutive games at Oracle.
A's versus the Giants. Yeah, I don't think that would happen.
There's no good. Here's the thing, and they've talked about playing in the Vegas AAA ballpark for 3 years. Really? Playing the Vegas AAA park for 3 years?
They might sell out.
Maybe it has no roof and it's 120 degrees in Vegas.
If they
in
die,
the summer.
they die, John.
I guess so. The A's. Like, it is a problem for major. That's not going to be fully resolved until 2028.
I know. So
guys, they can just take a page out of conference realignment and go play in Williamsport.
Yes.
Yeah, they could.
Little League fields.
Oh, they'd hit
Geography
like
be
50 home
damned.
Yeah, who's the best A's?
Brent
hitter?
Rooker.
Brent Rooker with 55 home runs.
Esther Ruiz
with 180 to left.
Right.
He hit 58 home runs this year.
Now are the bases shorter, right?
No, they hit 60 feet.
So
they get so many stolen bases.
Dude, 1,600 steals.
They would set the record by 1 million, dude. Oh, that'd be great.
So who knows? I mean, the A's it is an embarrassment. And the fact that they're going to kind of it's a little bit of the easy way out. They're going to benefit from it. They're going to go to Las Vegas, they'll have a new stadium. The franchise will be worth more. They'll create more revenue.
Yeah.
And everyone wins but Oakland. Really? I mean, that's what's ultimately gonna happen. I mean, look at the Chargers.
Yeah.
Who wins? Nobody, except the owner is worth more because the franchise is worth more.
Correct.
And they have no fans.
Correct.
No fans.
Correct.
But great, you move.
And you get to reap all of the benefits of being in a new location with a new stadium,
huge
market size, ad revenue, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Selling it, so it's easier to sell. It's the corrupt portion and the greedy portion of sports that really, I think, turns everybody off.
And yet these sports continue to operate and be as popular as ever. Baseball's not football, make no mistake, but football can do whatever it wants. If next year the Titans move, it's not happening. They're building a stadium. But if they didn't have a franchise in Nashville and they moved them to San Diego, guess what? The thing operates just as well as it's ever run.
Yep.
Nobody will ever nobody turns an eye to the NFL. People in San Diego, listen, I don't think the NFL is as popular in San Diego today as it was 10 years ago, clearly. But guess what? The NFL doesn't care.
No. The NFL could give two you-know-whats about pleasing the fans because you know what?
Yep.
Those fans, regardless, aren't going anywhere.
Right.
And if they do, it won't even affect the NFL as far as a brand goes. You're going to not watch the NFL? Okay.
Someone else will.
And also your line, you'll be back.
And you and I know that if we looked at television ratings of football in San Diego, not that it's the end-all be-all, they're high like they are in all American cities.
Yep.
Even post-Chargers, people watch the NFL. They don't watch the Chargers as much as they used to, but they watch the NFL.
Right.
So, the NFL can do no wrong. Now, I don't know if baseball is the same way. I don't know, by the way, if college football is the same way. I think there's some people that are probably disenfranchised with realignment. Oregon State, Washington State, the way it's played out in the West just specifically. Can you just overcome that and force your way through and continue to create the same amounts of I don't know. I don't know the answer to it. We've got college football, of course, here locally tomorrow. Me and Jim with J.R. Tolver on the pregame. San Diego State and Ohio. I'm looking forward to it. You're looking forward to it. We'll talk to Brady Hoke before the game tomorrow. We'll talk to J.D. Wicker before the game. And J.R. Tolver, nobody's better to get you ready for an Aztec season than J.R.
Yep, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I love going to Snapdragon Stadium. The field looks great from the scrimmage. The place, the food there is amazing.
What will you eat tomorrow?
So I was a little bummed out when I went to the scrimmage that Cali Barbecue wasn't open.
Oh, wow. Controversial.
Yeah, not really controversial.
What'd you eat?
I had Hodad's. So I had a Hodad burger and
Dude, their fries are really good.
They are.
Yes.
I love their onion rings. Unfortunately, they didn't have any onion rings.
Oh, man, this sounds like the worst day of your life.
Well, no, I had a churro, so that made up
Okay.
for everything.
You love churros.
I am a churro lover. I need to get a churro anytime a churro is available. Rich McGuire is now in the house.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to it tomorrow. Student section, I already know, is full. It's all sold out.
Yeah, not only is it full, by the way, they've actually opened up additional overflow seating for the students.
That's awesome.
Which is pretty cool.
I don't know if we're going to get a full sellout tomorrow.
No, overall you won't. But,
No.
it should be a good crowd. Honestly, I think it's going to be a good turnout. Again, it's week 0. It's not yet week 1. Padres are on the road, haven't played well. I hope it's a good crowd. You can't have better weather. 75, 80 degrees, whatever it's going to be.
Yep.
Late afternoon kickoff. So I'm just crossing my fingers that San Diego State scores one more point than Ohio.
Even if it's 3-2?
Even if it's 1-0, which probably won't happen.
Which wouldn't happen because guess what? That's impossible.
It's impossible. 3-2 would be interesting. I don't know what our reaction would be on Monday if
Now,
that's the final.
If you block an extra point and you return
No.
How many? Is that worth anything?
2.
Okay, that's right.
I remember my first time watching it. Brent, can you please help me?
I just was making sure.
I am. It's almost 6 o'clock.
Point,
Yeah. Come on.
if you hit a home run,
How many points is that?
right, and there's 3 players on base,
That'd be a
but
lot.
there's sticky stuff.
So is it 0 or 1 point?
Yeah, it would be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, join us tomorrow, beginning at 2 p.m. And please swing by, say hello. We're broadcasting outside the team store. All right, 50 Cent. Call right now.
50.
Caller 50. I'm joking. Caller 5.
Brett's like, I know I'm not doing
Caller 5, they're yours. 844-570-1360. You've got a pair of tickets to see 50 Cent. North Alley Credit Union Amphitheater, August 31st, coming up. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Again, the number to call to it right now. Caller 5, these tickets are yours. 844-570-1360. All right, Padres Brewers underway in Milwaukee. What do you have?
What do you make of the Brewers jerseys?
Well, first of all, I hate when you have alternates on alternates. It should be illegal. You've got brown tops opposite like baby blue or royal blue.
Those are their
tops.
City Connects.
This should be illegal. When both teams have different color tops. One team should have to be white.
Now, isn't it the pitcher's choice on what jersey they wear?
For the maybe. Probably.
I thought it is.
But
But
Padres never wear the brown tops.
never.
Ever.
Barely at all. I like the Brewers'
Brew?
the colors. I don't know about their hats.
That's their City
hats-
Connect stuff.
Yeah.
I know it is, but like
They used to wear the ball and glove pinstripes on Friday, but apparently they
I
got
love
rid
the
of
ball
that.
and pinstripe.
Yeah.
I love the
Old
glove.
school.
Right?
Yeah,
Old
everyone
school
loves that.
glove.
The glove, that's the MB.
Yeah, but I don't mind the Brew Crew across their chest. I like the colors, but the hat just bothers me.
Okay. We'll make note of that. On the other side, Jim's
Should
back
I
page.
call the owner of the Brewers and let him know?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Do that at the break. Jim's back page is next. All right, we're at Fair Play in North Park. Padres underway. San Diego Wave on television tonight, and Jim's back page next. All right, we'll get to Jim's back page in a moment as we wrap up the week. Now, Fair Play is a San Diego Wave bar. They play matches home and road.
Yeah, it's rowdy.
And this place is filled up with fans of the Wave who have taken a lead in Orlando tonight. In the second half, they lead 2-1.
In the 80th minute.
Yeah,
so
pretty cool.
Yeah, this place went crazy for that last goal during the break. Good crowd tonight. I like the crowd a lot.
A lot of people. Also, of course, Padres are on against the Brewers. That series is underway. It's game one of a 3-game series. We were kind of quasi-scoreboard watching earlier. Here's what I know. Just win a lot of games, and then we'll see what happens.
Win them all.
Yeah, if you win all the games, they'll be in really good shape.
They would. They would have won, 95 games?
Yeah.
That's good.
95 games a lot.
I like that a lot.
Is that a goal?
That is not a goal, John.
Not a goal. It has to go in the net.
Correct.
That's the new rule.
It has to go past the line.
And that's worth how many points?
1.
Yeah, it's worth 1.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it.
So I think you'll appreciate this, John, because this is actually a movie that you have seen this year.
Barbie.
That is Barbie.
That's the one.
The one movie you've seen this year.
Yeah.
Is Barbie. The last 2 movies you've seen have been Top Gun and Barbie, correct?
Correct, yeah.
I mean, honestly, not
John goes bigger. He doesn't go at all.
Right.
Yeah, those are like 2 of the highest grossing movies ever.
Well, Barbie now officially is the highest grossing movie of the year, surpassing the Super Mario Bros.
Okay.
At $575.4 million domestically. It has made $1.3 billion globally.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, it wasn't a bad movie. I thought it was some really funny parts of it.
Is it the greatest movie I've ever seen? And I've
No.
only seen like 7? No.
Is it better than Top Gun?
No.
Top
Not
Gun
to
was
me.
like awesome.
Yeah, I thought Top Gun was great.
Top Gun was amazing. So Barbie is now the highest grossing movie domestically of the entire year.
So it's got a chance to be what, like a top 10 or like all time, maybe?
All time, no.
Okay.
No, you need to get like in the 1.5 billion range, I think,
Okay.
to really crack the top 10.
All right, then forget about any sequel.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Barbie, I know I mentioned this the other day about its National Cinema Day coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Barbie is one of the movies that will be available to see on National Cinema Day for $4
Right.
on August 27th.
Yes.
So they made it available. The movies Barbie and Oppenheimer. I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet.
I think I'm
heard
going to
it's
go
like-
Sunday for $4.
I think you
Say-
should.
Say it again.
Oppenheimer.
It's Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. Tomato.
Right. I don't. Yeah. Haven't seen it, Jim?
No, I have not.
And Brent, you're going to go this weekend
Yeah, I think so. For $4.
for
Yeah.
$4. Why not?
$4 Sunday.
Yeah. No NFL.
No NFL. AMC theaters will be showing these movies for $4. So there you go.
Now, what if I'm a kid? Do I get like 40-cent tickets?
It's a good question.
Still $40 or $4?
I don't know.
Okay. That's fine.
Other movies that will be playing on National Cinema Day will be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, along with some classics like Jurassic Park, Beauty and the Beast, and Lady Bird. So those movies will also be available at AMC theaters for $4.
Lady Bird?
I don't know. That's what it says.
It was nominated for a bunch of Oscars a couple years ago.
Oh, I saw this on like Netflix or something. This thing was really good. I didn't know it was ever in theaters.
Well, you can watch it for $4 in an AMC theater. This
And
Sunday.
I want to
Okay.
say, I didn't look it up, so I might be wrong. The lady that directed Barbie directed that movie.
Oh, wow.
So that might be why they were releasing it, because she's
So you
hot.
do a doubleheader, Lady Bird into Barbie.
I like it.
$8.
I like it. And finally, John, it is the pumpkin spice moment or time of the year.
Yes,
right.
getting to be.
Yesterday we talked about pumpkin spice dog treats that will be available, doggy donuts at Krispy Kreme.
Why do I forget all this?
Because you weren't there.
Because you left early.
That's
and
right.
you also never listened to me during the back page.
Correct.
The pumpkin spice menu for Starbucks is now in effect. Erin sent me a picture of her pumpkin spice latte that she got
really?
this morning.
Okay.
Yeah. But introducing now to the pumpkin spice craze, pumpkin spice scented trash bags.
Trash bags.
Starting in September, you can be able to purchase a limited edition cinnamon pumpkin spice trash bag.
From who? Hefty?
From Hefty.
Wow.
Yeah. They are introducing its cinnamon pumpkin spice ultra strong trash bag.
Dude, that's amazing.
As a limited edition offering.
I want that.
Are they orange
So-
too? So it looks like a pumpkin?
Got to be orange.
They should
I
be.
don't know.
Like light orange.
Wake up, Hefty.
They don't show them?
Well, here's the box.
No, the box doesn't make them look orange, Brent.
The box is orange, but the bags are not orange. They're
Right.
still white plastic.
Yeah.
But if you want to get some pumpkin spice scented trash bags, there you go. Starting in September.
But that's kind of weird because you know when trash starts to smell.
Like if you had like salmon, like mixed
in
with
the pumpkin spice.
pumpkin
now it's getting
spice
weird
salmon,
smells
like,
together.
and
chicken.
who's going to be smelling their trash bags?
Yeah, like is it so powerful that you just smell them when you walk into the home like it's Febreze? Like is it a powerful scent that you just smell? That's a great point, Brent. That's a really good point.
I don't know.
Because you don't normally smell your trash bag.
Correct.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that one. But,
Okay.
there you go. There you go.
I want to buy them.
I want to buy them for you.
Please.
All right.
All right, if you missed anything today, sportsst.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. Search John and Jim 760. Find us on social media at John and Jim, JONANDJIM. Join us tomorrow, Snapdragon Stadium. Pregame coverage will begin at 2 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Enjoy the weekend. Keep it right here. It's the all-new San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.
Okay.